How you doing? And welcome to my channel. Today I'm having a look at something that I've had for a while now. I'm only just getting around to reviewing them. This is the Sideshow Collectibles Beetlejuice figure. And just having a quick look at the box, you can see that it is made to look like an old VHS. There's like this worn effect on the edges of it, just like the old VHS cardboard boxes would have had on them. And you can see the little comedy sticker on it to indicate the genre. Anybody who's old enough remembers from the video rental stores, they would have had these genre stickers on them back in the day. Just like the movie cover, on the front of it there, we have all of the characters, Beetlejuice in the middle, and pretty much everybody else, the Maitlands, and at the bottom we have the Deets. I would have liked to have gotten a couple more figures from the movie, like Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, and maybe even some of the Deets. But it is what it is, and maybe somewhere down the line we might just get them. At the side there we have Beetlejuice, just like a movie cover. You can see the Warner Brothers logo at the top. And if I just tip this camera up just a little bit, you can see where it says comedy at the top. So it is made to really look like a VHS movie cover, just like the Lost Boys David from Sideshow. And on the back we have a monologue about the figure itself, or the character itself, and some images of the figures. I would have liked to have gotten the gravestone. It would have went really well with it. I know we got it with the 1.0 from Sideshow, and it's kind of held its value because of that gravestone, so I can kind of understand why they didn't put it in this one. And the Hot Toys one is coming with the gravestone, so I will be putting it with that figure. So there we have it for the box. Obviously that's a slipcover as well. On the inside, where the figure should be, we have Here Lies Beetlejuice on the banner in the middle, and the iconic black and white stripes with some bugs on them there. So there we have it for the box. So moving on swiftly, let's have a quick pan of the figure. So here we are for a quick pan of the figure, and a habit that I've gotten into while I've been doing this scan of the figure is getting into some fun facts. So originally none of the cast agreed to take part in the movie. The only actor that agreed immediately on first asking was Gina Davis, and Michael Keaton actually turned down the role twice before he was convinced by Tim Burton to take part in the movie. And other actors were considered for the role, including Sammy Davis Jr., believe it or not. And it was only a couple of years before he died, if my memory serves me correctly. And Gina Davis wasn't the first choice to play Barbara Maitland. In fact, it was Kirstie Alley who was originally top billing for who they originally wanted to play Barbara Maitland. But unfortunately, or fortunately, because Gina Davis done a great job, she couldn't get out of her Cheers contract. And Warner Brothers didn't like the name Beetlejuice. They wanted to actually call it House Ghosts. And Tim Burton jokingly, he didn't like it, so he jokingly said, well, let's just call it Scared Sheetless. And they actually really considered calling it Scared Sheetless, but eventually Tim Burton won out and they stuck with the name Beetlejuice, which was a great choice. And Angelica Houston was originally cast as Delia Deetz. However, Angelica Houston fell ill right before they started shooting, so she was replaced by Catherine O'Hara. And Catherine O'Hara, which more iconically known, or me anyway, I mostly remember her as Kevin McAllister's mother in the Home Alone movies. So Angelica Houston was replaced by her because Angelica fell ill right before shooting. And a lot of people don't know this. Netflix started as an online DVD rental business before they were streaming. And I think it was 1998 when they first opened up for business. And the very first DVD they mailed out to a customer was in fact Beetlejuice. So the Beetlejuice started off Netflix. And to finish off the full fun facts, Beetlejuice was only in the movie for approximately 17 minutes for a 1.5 hour long movie, which isn't a lot of screen time, especially for the main character. But because of Michael Keaton's performance, he stole the show, so nobody really picked up on the fact that he was only in the movie for a very short time, and he was not in the iconic striped black and white suit for very long in the movie. He spent more time in the tour guide outfit or in the groom outfit that he wears at the end of it. So there we are for some fun facts. So moving on, let's have a look at the accessories that come with the figure. So here we are for all the accessories that come with the Beetlejuice figure. Not much to go on here. 11 hands, and it leaves it open to quite a lot of posing options because we have so many hands there. You can put them in lots of different poses, and you can see there we have some kind of clawing kinds of hands, open palmed hands, relaxed palms, open palm gesturing, two pointing fingers, and we have a gripping hand there, and one of them that goes with the hand that has the foil in it to make it look like he's foiling his fingernails. And then this one here is for gripping onto the book for the recently deceased, which it's an odd choice because I don't think in any scene in the movie does Beetlejuice actually put that book in his hand, if my memory serves me correctly. And obviously then shown more attention to the detail for this hand with the foil, and it is kind of the most interesting hand. It's painted quite well. The paint is done quite well. It's got everything it needs to have on it. It's all it's got the ring on his left hand, the red ruby ring on his finger there on the left, and the paint detail is done quite well. You can see how gory the fingernails are, and the green kind of algae or mildew that is in between the fingers, and on the palm of the hand there's a bit more of that green mildew or mold, and the fingers are a bit more red and they're quite pale. The palms are quite pale, so it is on point. It does look the part. And then we have the book of the for the recently deceased, which is accurate to the movie. It's got the right cover, it looks the part. There is no pages in it to be opened. It is one just complete mold. But like I said, I don't think he actually holds the book in the movie, so an odd choice. But there we go for the accessories. So moving on, let's have a look at the figure itself. So here we are for Beetlejuice standing pretty much straight up as he comes out of the box. And I'll just shift him out of the way for a second while we have a look at this Sideshow base. Typical Sideshow base, hexagonal shape, but this time around we actually have the name of the movie or the character on the top of the base, which anybody who knows my reviews knows that a lot of the time they put it on the bottom, and it makes no sense at all to put it on the bottom. So this time around they've actually done us a turn and they've put it on the top of the base. Now I'm not saying it's the first time they've done it. They've done it with quite a lot of figures out there, but it is again hit and miss with them. Sometimes they put it on the bottom, sometimes they put it on the top. Doesn't make sense to me. So moving on to the figure, we'll have a look at his boots that he's wearing. They are one entire mold, and they are molded quite well. They really look the part. They really look good. They look accurate. There's absolutely no articulation in them whatsoever. Zero articulation. They are a hard plastic, and they're quite weathered. There's quite a bit of weathering through them. There's quite a bit of dry brushing put through them. The sole is quite thick as well. There is a molded grip on them as well, which looks the part, and there's a bit of dry brushing or grime put through them, the sole of them, which looks the part, looks good. The actual laces are done quite well. I'm quite impressed with the laces too. There's a bit of relief to them. They come out from the mold quite a bit, and the eyelets are painted reasonably well, although there is a bit of paint missing off one or two of them, or come off a little bit on one or two of them, but they do look the part. But unfortunately there is absolutely no articulation in them, in the ankles whatsoever, which restricts poseability. Moving up to his trousers, you can see that they are his typical Beetlejuice iconic black and white stripes, although as I mentioned he's not in that outfit in the movie for extremely long. They are cleaner than I would have liked them to have been. They're a little bit cleaner than I would have liked them to have been. There's a little bit of weathering up around the top of them there, but they are, majority of them are completely clean and spotless, which is not ideal. I would have liked to have seen a bit more grubbiness to them. There is quite a thick body in there underneath. There's no padding on the legs, but those legs are quite thick. I'm not sure what body they've used, but it is quite The thighs on that are quite thick. Moving up to the top half, he doesn't have a belt on. He shouldn't have a belt on. The top half is completely padded out to give him that kind of Beetlejuice stomach that he has, and there is Velcro on the front there. Let's get this undone and just have a look. You can see that he does have a fat suit on there, not down to the legs. It does only go down to the crotch area. It does wrap around the crotch area, so none of the leg is padded. It's only the top half. So, you know, to give him that kind of pop belly that he does have in the movie. There's a little bit of weathering on the shirt. Let me just get this all straightened up again. Just open this up and get this all straightened up before we continue. There we go. There is a little bit of weathering on the shirt itself. It is clipped together with these snap buttons, but there is a little bit of weathering running down from behind where the tie is. I'm actually wondering if that's a bit of dye from the tie and not actually deliberate weathering. I'm not sure. But as you can see from the collar of it there is some weathering on the collar and that, so I would assume that the black line running down the center of it there is deliberate weathering, but I would have liked to have seen a bit more weathering on the shirt. It is slightly weathered in certain areas, but it could have done with a bit more weathering in it as well. And the tie is very rigid, although you can see it does have the correct details in the tie. It does have the studs running all the way down the length of the tie and a bit of a pattern. I'm not sure how accurate that pattern is on the tie, but it definitely does have the studs running down it as it should, and it's very rigid though. It's quite a rigid tie. The jacket is not as weathered as I would have liked it to have been. It is a little bit off-white in certain areas, and it does have a bit more of a cream tone to it in different areas and a little bit of weathering throughout it. You can see the cuff of the shirt is coming out there at the top of the jacket, and they're quite weathered and they do look dirty and grimy. So they have done that much to make the shirt underneath the jacket at the cuffs look really good and grimy. And certain areas are more weathered than others, but I would have liked to have seen more weathering all round on the figure. He still looks the part. He's still convincing, you know, but it just could have been a bit more grubby. A point of contention with Sideshow figures are the bodies. The body is stiff enough. I think the fat suit on it does kind of add to the rigidity of it. It's not the tightest body in the world, but it does the job. No real complaints about how strong the body is or how you know, the joints look well or feel well, they feel tight. But once you lift the arms, like most 1/6 scale figures, but once you lift the arms on this guy, the jacket comes so far away from the body that there's no way of really dynamically posing him or having his arms up too high, or you lose the look of him altogether with the jacket being so far away from pulling so far away from the body. And it just doesn't look good at all. So it's kind of you can't do it. You do have to keep the arms down to a certain point to keep the jacket close to the body, to not misshape the jacket, you know, and keep a contour to the body. But overall, it's a decent enough body. It's a decent enough attempt at the suit and the outfit. And this is Sideshow's second attempt. They do have a 1.0 out there, and the head sculpt was atrocious. Really, really, really bad head sculpt on their 1.0. But like I said earlier on, it did come with the gravestone, so that was the added bonus to the original 1.0. But let's get this guy stable and get him a little bit closer, and we will have a look at the details on this reasonable head sculpt. So let's get punched in on this sculpt. So the head sculpts, and let's just address the elephant in the room immediately. The hair. It is a really, really poor job, and anybody who knows that when this was released, that Sideshow actually put out a video telling people to wet the hair to style it a little bit, and in my opinion it was wrong of them to do that. I think it was a cop-out. I think people who wet the hair made it just look so much worse. It chunked the hair up, it clumped it all together and made it look even worse than it does without wetting it. I don't think Sideshow should have recommended people wetting the hair. It's too bushy, it's too thick. Michael Keaton was really thinning, especially in the centrepiece there and the little island he had and running down the middle, which you don't actually have on the figure. They didn't put that part on the figure. He was very much so thin, and you can see a very horrible glue line where the hair is been glued on. It just looks really bad as you move it around to the side there. I honestly would have preferred a sculpted hair on this figure rather than what we got. It's so thick and so bushy and so inaccurate, and it's really, really poorly done. It's way thicker than it was in the movie, and it's a really poor attempt from Sideshow to, I don't know, try and keep up with wool implanted hair or something. I'm not sure what their logic was behind putting this synthetic hair on the figure. I think a sculpted version would have been so much better for them to do with this reasonable head sculpt. I mean, looking at the sculpt itself, I think they've done quite a good job with capturing Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. It's not amazing, it's not Hot Toy standard, but with the makeup and the grime and the mildew, it's got some texture to it at the side of his face, and it does resemble Michael Keaton. It does, at a lot of angles, it does look like him. And the fact that we have all this makeup on him, and it does kind of hide some of the flaws or the inaccuracies in the head sculpt. The mouth area, I think they've really captured Michael Keaton's goofiness in the movie, and they've got Michael Keaton's eyebrows correct as well. The fact that they come up into this kind of point as Michael Keaton's do, and they've captured them spot on. I think they've done a really good job at capturing Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. And I really think if they had have sculpted the hair, it would have looked absolutely epic. I'm just trying to hide the hair there just to kind of, because the hair ruins the head sculpt. But if you hide the hair there, I really do see Michael Keaton there as Beetlejuice quite a lot, actually. I see it in the eyes, I see it in the mouth with the expression. It looks good. I really do see him as Beetlejuice. I just think the hair just takes away from everything. It's really, really bad. I can't say it enough. The paint application is enough. I'm quite happy with. Even the grime, even down as far as his neck, the mossy effect, the algae effect on his neck is done really well. There's texture to it. Another issue I have with the body is the neck is rigid. There's no articulation in the neck. It does not move at all. The only part of him there that moves is the actual head sculpt. There isn't a second ball joint in the neck area to articulate the neck, so that really restricts any posing you might be doing for him, because it's only the head that articulates. The neck is completely one piece rigid. There is a flex in the hip area, in the torso area, and it does flex from side to side, but the neck piece just doesn't move at all, which is a bit of a nuisance and a bit of a cop-out as far as I'm concerned. But unfortunately, all round, the worst part of this figure is the hair, and most people who have the figure or have seen reviews of the figure in the past would agree that the hair needed to be done better, and maybe somewhere down the line I might actually get it redone. I might send it off to be redone at some point if I get the time and the money to have it reimplanted, because I do believe the sculpt is worthy of that. I think the sculpt is quite strong. You can see on the side there where all the mold and mildew comes down on the side of his face, and it's quite accurate to the movie. It's got some great texture to it. Even the hairline there looks so bad. It's done so bad, and I think if I was to wet that hair, it would just look worse. So there we have it for the sculpt, and that pretty much wraps everything up for the Sideshow Collectibles Beetlejuice. So if you did like the video, please don't hesitate to hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help out the channel and spreads the video around. And if you made it this far, thanks very much for watching. I am going to add this video to my Sideshow Collectibles playlist, and I'm going to put a card up in the corner and a link in the description. So thanks a lot for watching, and take care.